Okay, so this Anthony Fantano and Lonerbox drama I saw was fascinating. I'll give it that. I don't know all the details of it, but I'm very curious to know what the fuck is happening between these two. I guess something with Israel-Palestine. I know Anthony Fantano has kind of been taking a lot of L's lately. Let's just get this party started.
Recently, a drama broke out between music reviewer Anthony Fantano and live streamer Lonerbox. When Lonerbox's coverage on the conflicts in the Middle East got brought into question online, causing Anthony to weigh in and respond.
Oh, yeah, was it that Gato Fumador account that was, like, tweeting out what Lonerbox was saying? Dude, just as, like, a quick, like, I guess pro tip, don't fucking trust Gato Fumador. That account literally exists to push disinformation about the Israel-Palestine conflict. To say that all Jews are pedophiles and stuff. They are extraordinarily anti-Semitic, and they are, if you want to be, like, super pro-Palestinian and help the Palestinian people, Gato Fumador is not going to be helpful to your cause.
Anthony went at Lonerbox, saying he believes that Lonerbox refuses to call what Israel's doing in the Middle East a genocide, with Lonerbox responding, saying he believes that people like Anthony only use the conflict in the Middle East to boost their own self-image.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people kind of are doing that. Like, as fucked up as it is to say, you have Hassan Parker, where every time he gets criticized, anytime someone says anything negative about Hassan Parker, he's like, oh my god, but, like, there's a genocide going on. Why are you criticizing me? Why are you directing this criticism at me when Palestine needs your move? Hassan Parker doesn't care about Gaza. He wants children to die in Gaza. I'm not even kidding. I know that might sound harsh to some of you, but, like, Hassan Parker wants children to die in Gaza. He wants innocent people to die in Gaza because he makes money off of it. His viewership before October 7th wasn't what it is currently. That's not to say Hassan was doing terribly. Like, he was still doing fine viewer-wise, but he averages many more viewers compared to what he had before October 7th, and he makes money off of children dying in Gaza. So it's like, and he definitely knows this deep down. He very obviously knows that, and he makes money off of it. So, I don't know, man. It's just like, you gotta pick your battles.
Feeling morally superior over
with some of these people.
Others. Hassan also weighed in on everything, agreeing with the sentiments and saying that people like Lonerbox defended Israel for the last 2 years.
Is this your new content strategy, Internet Versus, where you hide the tweets until we eventually, like, get into it? Okay. I guess that's the way, like, Internet Versus does his videos now. Like, I'm just not used to it.
Along with stalking and deplatforming pro-Palestine creators. Welcome to the Internet versus Anthony Fantano and Lonerbox. It starts when Gato Fumador tweets out, the not really pro-Israel trio. Bombing hospitals is not a war crime guy.
That's not at all what Lonerbox says. Like, it's not what Lonerbox says. Lonerbox has actually historically been pretty pro-Palestinian, but he's sort of, like, understood that, like, completely wiping Israel off the map is just not smart. Lonerbox is actually fairly educated on this topic.
Those doctors all lied. The sniped toddlers were probably tweens guy. Dude who stopped doing any even remotely sympathetic coverage of Gaza because his entire audience is Azov Nazis.
That's not true. Alright. Again, it just proves my point that this account literally exists to spread disinformation about Israel-Palestine. That's, like, all this is.
And then Gato attaches this clip.
And I don't understand why they're targeting even him. I don't understand why they're targeting you. I mean, none of you guys are really pro-Israel, so... what the only commonality is really that you all kind of don't like Hassan.
It's so interesting because they go after Ethan Klein, they go after Lonerbox, all these people who don't even like what Israel's doing. Literally, the take that most of these people have, that Gato Fumador and all these idiots are bringing up, is that the Israeli government and the IDF, what they're doing, terrible. But the civilians of Israel, they're not bad. That is probably the most normal take you could have on the Israel-Palestine conflict. Like, I don't know, man, but somehow having a take like that makes them genocidal freaks. Somehow that makes them Zionist genocidal freaks, apparently. That's just so fucking, it's crazy to me. It's like, I don't know, man, you guys are not exactly helping Palestinian people as much as you think you are. Like, you could literally get a ton of people to say that what's happening is a genocide, which it is, but you could get a ton of people to try to be aware of it and to be like, oh my god, what they're doing is a genocide. You could get a ton of people try to, like, repost and, like, quote-unquote spread awareness of everything, but not a damn thing is gonna fucking change if you don't actually, like, legitimately do something instead of just, like, virtue signaling on social media.
For one reason or another.
Along with this screenshot of a Hutch post where he says, Israel is not trying to murder all Palestinians in Gaza. That's the point. The death count is sobering and horrific, but intent has to matter. If a campaign of genocide was actually what Israel was going for, my friend, the circumstances we see now would be unimaginably worse. Pointing to extremist voices in the Knesset engaging in maniacal rhetoric doesn't negate what's actually happening. Hamas straight up comes out and says, we want to annihilate every Jew and end the state of Israel.
I mean, yeah, what Hamas is doing is terrible. I still think what's happening to Gaza is a genocide. It is. I still think that. Just based on everything that I've seen. I don't really think it's productive to point out if it is or if it isn't a genocide. I really don't think that's productive to the conversation. What we need to do is, like, actually have a productive conversation about how we move forward with the solution. But, like, Hamas straight up is anti-Semitic. They want to kill, like, every Jew imaginable. But suddenly Hamas is, like, people that... Some people just see Hamas as, like, freedom fighters or whatever. It's, like, it's strange.
Their attack on October 7th was not a military strike on IDF. It was a full-on genocidal action. There doesn't seem to be any real acknowledgement of this from the folks that keep screaming genocide over and over again. Gato then attaches this clip of Lonerbox.
Is that impossible for someone to say?
Way more likely than he's calling
Oh yeah, Gato Fumador is just so bad faith. Like, they take shit out of context all the time, and they just push disinformation about Israel-Palestine all the fucking time. They are a worthless loser that's just super terminally online and doesn't do anything meaningful in their real life.
Teenager, a toddler. That's, like, so ridiculous.
Why is that ridiculous?
Who calls a teenager a toddler? Obviously, like, more than... He said, like, it was happening often.
It's happening often that he's saying, like, toddlers, like 3 or 4 year olds are being sniped directly. That's a normal thing in Gaza right now.
I don't know. Nobody really.
But the images they're showing you, but he's like literally referring to images that he's seen. I don't even think he's necessarily lying. I think when people are describing atrocities and horrors or whatever, yeah, they might sometimes describe like a young person as a baby or a toddler. Yeah, that's not. It's like you can call a fucking 17-year-old a toddler if you're in the in the right mood for it. You know, it's not like an unusual thing to do.
Bro, what?
Yeah,
dude,
sorry.
what?
Shut the fuck up. Bro. You're a toddler to me. Just so you know, from the way you're talking to me, right?
Okay, that's
okay.
fair.
That's not unusual to say that. Okay.
Then he attaches this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unusual to say that someone is a baby. Like, from, like, a 30 or a 40-year-old, if they, like, are speaking to, like, an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old, or a 20-year-old, or a young person, they'll be like, that person is a kid to me. Now, it might be a little bit condescending of Lonerbox, but at the end of the day, like, what he's saying is, like, he's not wrong.
Screenshot of these interactions from Dylan Burns. We're back in October 2023. Dylan quote tweeted someone saying the current death toll in Gaza is 7,028, 40% of which were children, according to the World Health Org. And Dylan quote tweeted it saying, this would mean roughly 2,800 dead Palestinian children in just over half a month. And he down replies, fake numbers. And Dylan says, how do you know that? And B says, because the source for it is basically Hamas. And Dylan replies, what would you say to organizations like Human Rights Watch who say the Gazan Ministry of Health have generally reliable numbers? And multiple other replies that Gato attaches, like someone saying would, Tony saying so Hamas say, Poop saying source of the numbers is Hamas, come on bro, Cartoon saying I have a hard time believing anything Hamas reports, they have every incentive to lie, and Trooper replying, I'd be interested to know how many of those are 14 to 17 and weapon carrying Hamas fighters. But back to Gato's original tweet, Anthony Fantano gets involved by replying to it saying, the toddlers guy isn't just a dude doing an elaborate Destiny cosplay parody bit.
Oh my god, dude. It's like, fucking Anthony Fantano is just like, I've enjoyed some of his content in the past. I liked some of his, like, Daft Punk album reviews. I've enjoyed some of his, like, other album reviews. Like, I think Anthony Fantano is entertaining, but, like, why the fuck is Anthony Fantano getting involved in this shit? Like, why? Dude, like, it's just very obvious to me and everyone else that you're kind of just virtue signaling here a little bit. Like, just, please, just chill the fuck out.
And Toby Keefe says, bro, you know who Lonerbox is. You're applying to fucking Gato Fumador. You're deep in the lore. And Anthony replies, honestly, I missed this chapter. Yeet then screenshots this interaction and posts it on his page with the caption, Anthony Fantano takes shots at Lonerbox. And Atuka replies with this screenshot of Drake's Instagram post where he just posted Anthony Fantano and a bunch of laughing emojis and captions it, I love Fantano's iDubbbz appearance bit, but imagine if the mustache was even more cringe. Star quote tweets Yeet by saying, this is actually just slanderous. If you did any research or listened to anything other than insane anonymous Twitter people, you would know this framing of Lonerbox's positions is incredibly dishonest. Anthony Fantano, you should be ashamed of yourself. And Anthony replies, what are his positions? And Tyler replies, bro said what are his positions after he already slandered him.
He wants to know the sex positions, so Anthony Fantano can lift his legs up and get up in that booty hole.
Leftists are smooth-brained. And Anthony replies, I need to be more careful making cosplay allegations. It's true.
Crazy. He's really projecting here. Like I said, Anthony, why the fuck are you interacting with this drama? Like, why are you even, like, engaging with this? Like, go back to reviewing music, man. You were doing fine there. Like, why do you feel the need to, like, maintain this audience capture? I also heard that Anthony Fantano, like, is very, like, I guess, sympathetic or at least enjoys Hassan Parker. And I'm just like, all right, well... I feel like once someone is, like, buddy-buddy with Hassan Parker, they just feel like they can't maintain that, like, relationship in any capacity. It's kind of insane to me that they feel the need, like they can't maintain that whatsoever.
And Shrug says, come on, dude. You have a huge following. You have a responsibility to at least try to not be a jackass. Paraglobalism replies to Anthony's original question by saying, do you think describing Dylan Burns' audience of Ukraine supporters as Azov Nazis is remotely acceptable? And Anthony replies, I haven't been following Dylan's posts closely or his audience for the past 2 years, honestly. And Paraglobalism says, but you felt fine signal boosting an unhinged ML calling him an Azov Nazi. How is that different than calling a supporter of Palestine a Hamas lover? Lonerbox himself then quote tweets Anthony and responds by saying, 1. Support a Palestinian state.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, historically Lonerbox has been pretty pro-Palestinian just in general. And, like, obviously, it's a normal take to say Hamas is terrible and all the terrorist organizations are terrible, but what the IDF and the Israeli government is doing is terrible. But the civilians of both Israel and Palestine are not bad people. That's, again, a very, very normal take, honestly, all things considered.
2. Don't like Hamas, Bibi, Hezbollah, or the Houthis. 3. Still have faith in Marwan Barghouti. 4. Don't think it's wise to try and destroy Israel. 5. Enjoy classical guitar and indie/alternative. 6. Never said the N-word. Always up for conversations on stream if you...
That's so funny that he had to throw in that dig, because Anthony Fantano got into, like, a controversy where he said the N-word, like, many years ago. I don't know if it was like a joke or whatever. Either way, it's a nothing burger. I really don't care. He said the N-word such a long time ago, and the only people that are upset about it are terminally online losers. That's, like, really it.
Have any more questions, I guess. And then Anthony responds to Lonerbox by saying, might want to work this term into the second draft.
It's fucking crazy.
Attaching a definition.
We obviously know that Anthony Fantano isn't doing this because he actually cares about Palestinian people. He's obviously doing this because he's very audience capture, and he feels like if he doesn't do this, that, like, he could be seen as complicit or whatever, so he needs to pass the fucking purity test. That's the, like, literally the only reason why Anthony Fantano is doing this. He could care less if children fucking die in Gaza, it seems.
Of genocide.
It's not to say that he wants children to die in Gaza, not like Hassan Parker, but at the end of the day, like, he's, like, in those spaces where it's just complete fucking toxic purity culture.
In the deliberate killing of a large number of people from a particular nation or ethnic group with the aim of destroying that nation or group. And that bastard Squirtus replies, you're aware he basically agrees with what you said and actually put more depth into the conversation, right? Is your head dented in the back? And Anthony replies, I'm being nice. And Squirtus says, how is it being nice by passively signaling that he's not discussing the atrocity of what's happening and making it seem like he doesn't care about this? It's a disgusting thing to do.
True.
Peter replies to Anthony by saying, Fantano being a retard.
Whoa!
Fantano is another alt-right extremist who switched to the far left when it started being popular on the internet.
Well, it's not really popular now, so I don't know. Like, if Anthony Fantano really goes where the pendulum is swinging, you'd think he'd become a right-wing grifter now, but I don't think that's what he's doing right now.
He's performative because there's no substance.
No, I think he's just very audience captured, and he's, like, very buddy-buddy with Hassan, so he kind of feels pressured to do what he's doing right now.
all either mental illness or grift. And Lonerbox then quote tweets Anthony Fantano with this screenshot saying, fuck. I'm sorry, maybe I can explain. Clueless purity testing retards like you should be avoided like the fucking plague. No amount of placating will ever satisfy you because what you're doing is not politics. The only thing you build with this kind of exclusionary bullshit is a cult.
Fucking facts, dude. Bro, let me tell you, this is very relatable because when like I said, I always go back to my Twitch platform. I would see this on like Dead by Daylight Twitter all the time. Like back during that Nina Otstarva situation, if you guys know what happened, then you know. Essentially what happened was Nina, I think this, funny enough, this Internet Versus guy, Connor, he covered the situation a while back as well. Essentially, like, what wound up happening was the Nina, who was Otstarva's girlfriend at the time, they broke up, and then Otstarva found out that this Leilosaurus Rex person and Nina were talking, and they were doing it behind Otstarva's back or whatever. Why they were talking in the first place was a little bit strange. It's a little bit strange that they were doing that to begin with. But Nina eventually said that they'll give... They said, hey, if you send me, if I send you Snapchat photos or whatever, I could give you, or if you send me Snapchat photos, I forget which order it was, I'll give you Dead by Daylight DLCs or whatever. I like, this was actually part of the allegation. The only problem was that there was no evidence. Now, there was a lot of credibility because a lot of bigger content creators were like, I can vouch that this did happen, and I saw the proof. Okay, did you look at that revenge porn? Did you see a naked version of Nina or something? No, but yeah, like, people rightfully pointed out, yeah, like, where is the proof? Did you show, like, some screenshots of a conversation occurring? You don't necessarily have to show the revenge porn, obviously, but could you at least show, like, a modicum of evidence to support your claims here? And then it turned into a whole conversation. People were like, how dare you ask for proof? They're already doing a really tough thing by coming forward with their really tough story. And it's like, why don't you respond with some empathy and all this, like, shit? And I'm just like, okay, the only thing you're doing by, like, pushing back against a pretty normal thing to do is you're just building on this cult mentality. That's what I think of when I see shit like this. Where people are just, like, constantly fueling their echo chambers. They don't want to hear any other perspective. They don't want to hear anything outside of what they consider normal in their bubble. Because they're fucking delusional, is the reality. They're very delusional. It's not the way the real world works at all. It's very terminally online. And it's, like, it's very sad, actually, if anything. It's actually really, really sad that a lot of people really think that this is a form of reality, and I hope one day some of them get out of that echo chamber, because I do think there are some well-meaning people in that community that are blinded by that, quite frankly.
People like this aren't in the conversation out of curiosity or a desire to change anything. The Middle East only exists to them as a means of moral self-aggrandizement, which is why, for all the presence they've amassed on social media, they've been utterly useless for the people they pretend to care about.
Honestly, well fucking said, Lonerbox. I gotta say, like, kind of based. Like, Lonerbox is, like, very, very educated on this issue. And Lonerbox doesn't even think that Palestinians should be genocided. He just has a more nuanced take on the entire situation. He gives more, like, perspective on the situation. He's actually been fairly pro-Palestinian in the past, actually, from what I've seen.
At best, they may have slightly contributed to boosting Hamas's morale with some mostly symbolic victories in the propaganda war, and given them a reason to keep fighting whilst Gazans pay the price for their actions. You can bully half the planet into screaming genocide, and it won't move you an inch closer to solving the conflict. Decolonize yourself, dumb C. And
honestly, fucking W, Lonerbox. That was, like, I don't think I could have worded that better. He kind of just annihilated Anthony Fantano there. Like, Anthony Fantano is, like, literally sitting there with tears in his eyes like iDubbbz.
Star replies, Slay King. Gidmore Sun says, as someone who has no context for where the image is from, it's crazy how hard it is for some to just be like, yeah, it's a genocide. More energy is spent trying to excuse yourself on why you didn't say it.
Bro, that's not really the point. Like, again, I don't think it's productive to say whether it is or it isn't a genocide. I still believe that it is a genocide, quite frankly. Hamas are not the good guys in this situation, I'll say. Not Palestinian civilians. Hamas is, like, very, very bad, too. I mean, they hide behind civilian infrastructure verifiably. Like, I don't know what to tell you. People were like, this shit's been debunked. Don't trust the media or some dumb bullshit like that. It's like, listen, The UN report says that not only did mass rapes happen, but they do hide behind civilian infrastructure and use them as human shields. Like, I don't know what to tell you. If, like, you need, like, legitimate evidence, you need, like, pictures of, like, women's examined pussies to see if, like, they were raped or not, like, okay. Incredible stuff. It's like, you'll believe all women in your progressive spaces, you'll believe all women, but you won't extend that charitability to Israeli civilians who have been raped. Okay. Cool stuff, dude. I'm glad we could have productive conversation. Like I said, the far left definitely has a bit of an anti-Semitism problem that's been rising ever since October 7th.
And Tummy replies, okay, if he called it a genocide, do you actually think people like Fantano would stop calling people like Lonerbox Nazis and paid Israeli propagandists? And Gitmore Son says, maybe, but he didn't, so that's just a hypothetical. Destiny also quote tweets Anthony Fantano and says, people with no understanding of the region having strong opinions on what's going on there. And Anthony Fantano replies to Destiny by saying, your son is a Nazi and hates you. And no one replies, your wife left you. And Anthony says, I'd rather have 100 ex-wives than one Nazi son. David Clark replies, you are such a beacon of morality, bringing up someone's son because he said you didn't know something about a conflict. Get on his stream and prove him wrong. And Anthony says, you want me to be present on this man's stream when he's not even present in his son's life? Sid then tweets out this picture of Anthony and captions it, Anthony Fantano has never once tweeted anything about Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
It's interesting because Hassan Parker, who Anthony Fantano seems to take a liking for, literally downplays Russia invading Ukraine, and he literally said that Russia invading Crimea, Hassan was like, Crimea River. You know, like, Hassan was literally saying that, and he was justifying Russia invading Ukraine, because all Hassan is anti-West. He hates the West very much. He doesn't actually give a fuck that a genocide's happening. He doesn't care that genocide is happening in any capacity. He's just using that for not only his grift, but he just hates the West. That's literally all Hassan is.
Therefore, according to his own logic, he must be a genocide supporter. Sorry, I don't make the rules. And Anthony replies, and you've never once tweeted about not wanting to suck my cock.
What? Anthony, go back to making music videos. Like, go back to making album reviews, please. Like, this whole, like, Twitter drama thing and this whole online drama thing is really not helping you out here. Why don't you, like, just, like, get off fucking Twitter. Aren't you, like, 40 years old? Like, dude, what are you doing arguing with these random fucking Twitter users all day? Like, please, get off Twitter, go back to making your music reviews, and stop trying to fucking virtue signal. Like, it's really not working out for you.
So open up, big boy. I don't make the rules. And Malik replies, you're embarrassing yourself.
Yeah, he is.
And Anthony says, sorry, I didn't know that's what more likes meant. It's my first day using this application. Ace Mori says, so you're fine with Russia's invasion of Ukraine? And Anthony says, I'm very much against it. The only thing I'm for is Lil Baby Gandhi slurping on my sensory slug.
Jesus Christ.
And Eastwood says, by your own admission, not tweeting enough, you are not against it. Why are you not tweeting about an active genocide, you sick homicidal fuck? And Anthony says, with this reply, I hereby admit I have tweeted enough about it by my own standards. Debate 1.
This guy is being very childish. This guy's 40 years old, by the way. Like, I hope we understand this. Like, this guy's literally 40 years old arguing with a bunch of random Twitter users for no reason. Like...
And Eastwood replies, brother, it is so painfully obvious that politics are like clothing to you, something you wear and show off. This is why you would never have a discussion with someone like Lonerbox on this issue. You know you'd be exposed as an uninformed retard.
Hey! Stop being edgy. Come on. It's a bad word.
It's easier to hide behind memes. Then in an unrelated tweet, Colo is quote tweeting someone talking about botting, and Anthony replies, just listening to a song is botting now? And Are You Serious replies Anthony with the post that Lonerbox made earlier that we read, saying, is this botting, Ant? And Anthony replies, is this some new copy pasta? And Ulysses Thatch Grant says, no, it's something that directly relates to you and your lack of progress towards the goal of the ending of this genocide that you believe is happening. Keep virtue signaling to your audience for likes. And Pierce Adrian replies, you don't believe the genocide exists, so your opinion is very invalid here. Then Hassan quote tweets the Gato tweet that we looked at the very beginning of this video by saying, these guys spent the last 23 months of Israel's genocide defending Israel, stalking and trying to deplatform pro-Palestinian content creators alongside the ADL, only to now try and whitewash their reps and pivot back once the well ran dry.
Of course, Hassan, as if you didn't fucking downplay Russia invading Ukraine and like committing a genocide onto Uyghur Muslims and like downplaying Uyghur Muslim camps being in China. Of course, Hassan, yes, definitely. It's not like you aren't like anti-West or anything, and you literally were like criticizing people for being quote-unquote pro-NATO, which is again another West bad moment. Yeah, of course, Hassan. We can never be consistent with our own values, surely.
Don't know about the last dude's takes, to be fair. And Hutch replies with the screenshot from Gato that we already read, saying, "Your evidence that Dylan was defending Israel is a screen cap of him highlighting how many Palestinian kids had been killed. Brilliant stuff, bud. And do you seriously think his entire audience is Azov Nazis? Pretty wild thing to just casually throw out there, no?" And Ogre Boy says, "Don't know about the last dude's takes, to be fair. If anything, complained that he isn't doing a glowing enough distancing of Dylan from you two. But come on, man, what are we doing here? Not everyone is old enough to remember the Brady Bunch reruns, but you're doing some real Jan Brady shit." And Hutch says, "He's pretending to not know who Dylan is because he got caught in a ridiculous lie." While amplifying Gato's tweet, that is also a lie. The cover you run for this guy is wild. Now, I was out of town last week, but there has been a whole bunch of stuff breaking on the internet. There is a lot happening with Progressive Victory, and then Hassan responding to it, and all sorts of stuff there. That's what Hutch is referencing in the last tweet we just read. A video will be going up on that tomorrow, so subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss it. Shout out to our Tier 3 members, internet representatives, Kiko, Salsao, Dakota's Bandito, and Captain Crashout.
Whoa, 19 kilometers. Where'd you go? You're usually on here. What happened?
Thank you guys so much for the support, and I'll see you all in the next episode.
Alright, Anthony Fantano needs to just shut the fuck up and, like, just go back to making album covers or album, like, reviews or whatever the fuck he uploads these days, because clearly drama is not his forte.